So thank you all for coming. I'm going to hand you over now to Annette Blackstock, who's our designated nurse for the National Safeguarding Team, who's part of Public Health Wales. So come on up, Annette, and I'll hand you over to Annette to start the sessions. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. It's really great to be here. Really lovely to be part of this event today. And so nice, like a lot of other people have said, is being face-to-face and just being able to have that chat. I think we're all a bit excited about that still, aren't we? That kind of sits really well with everybody to be here face-to-face. So, as Naomi says, my name's Annette Blackstock. I'm one of the designated nurses for safeguarding, and my job is within the National Safeguarding Service. I'm here as a partner, a board member for Gwent. My role, our team sits within the Public Health Wales as an organisation. And I'm also here, this would have been co-produced, but my slides are co-produced with Dr. Aideen Norton, who's the director of our safeguarding service. Unfortunately, she can't be here today, so just to really thank her for the work that she's contributed to our slide, to my few slides today. So, I think we're all aware of serious case reviews, and the purpose of today is to see, as Naomi says, what we can do, how we can do things differently. But just really to remind you, my job here today, to remind you of the context of those case reviews. Serious case reviews introduced way back in 2004 with the Children Act. And since then, in Wales, in January 2013, the child practice reviews in Wales replaced serious case reviews. A few years later, adult practice reviews came in for Wales. So just setting in that context around statutory reviews, but the landscape of statutory reviews is massive, isn't it now? I think we all feel that. We know that domestic homicide reviews, the mental health homicide reviews, the adult practice, the child practice reviews, and then we've got coming along the new sort of streamlined, trying to bring together the single unified safeguarding reviews. So we're looking at a landscape of real breadth in terms of statutory reviews that have to take place when we know significant harm or death has occurred. So, should I move my slide? So we go back to thinking with these perceived improvements in statutory processes and the increase in the number of reviews that take in place, we can see that we've got a variety of disseminate. When we're looking at how we learn from that, I think we all know that what that output is, lots and lots of recommendations, lots of work around how we contribute to those reviews. But then we see the output of that as how a variety of innovative ways in which we try to disseminate that learning. Things like the bite-sized learning, the 7-minute briefings, which is increasingly popular, a way of bringing together the nub of the incident that's happened around what recommendations and what practice needs to happen, is recommended to change, and how we pull that together in a single page and how we condense that, distill that learning down. We think about training events where we run either individual training events specifically for general practice, for example, maybe for health organisations, but certainly in our own organisations, we're trying to bring in, again, distill that learning from those serious events, those significant events of harm, bring that learning down and try to distill that and share, disseminate that learning. We think about presentations, we think about YouTube videos, and we think about supervision discussions. And they're all ways of trying to bring that learning from those serious case reviews, from those child practice, adult practice, homicide reviews, statutory reviews, all those natures, bringing down into simple learning that we can make. And our outcome, our aim, is to change practice. Obviously, what Lord Lamming says way back is that these are the findings are recurring. We're seeing similar themes over and over. It's not new news. It feels like it's the same things that we're trying to learn. So it's really difficult, I think, which is part of the reason we're here, to think about how we evidence the difference that we're making through that learning. And how those reviews really, how can we make them really improve practice? And I think that's in the context of all organisations, every single organisation that you're representing today, feeling the impact of undertaking those reviews, working with, contributing to, taking part in, and trying to affect change from those reviews. So it's a simple thing, just get on with it, just do it. But we know it's not that easy. So pulling together just some of those themes, really. The recurring themes, as I mentioned, the recurring themes, the headlines are just that. They're collected, they're captured, they're grouped, they're distilled. And they come into these sorts of headings. And you'll see them like this, or you might see them in a different way. But we can pick out and we can say, oh yes, that's quite similar to one we had before. That's quite similar to a different one. And so on and so on. So, but underneath each themed headline, underneath each part of that, there's case-specific situations actually are there. You know, we know that information sharing, we know that working with invisible men, we know that just those sort of complexity of families, underneath all of that is an adult, a child, a person who's experienced harm, and we want to make it different for them. And that's why we're all here, that's what we're all doing here. So, arguably, the further we get, the further we remove our practitioners from that event. And I liken the learning from reviews as you're trying to distill it down and then you're trying to share it out. But you kind of get away a lot from the nub of the nuance of the situation, the reality of what actually happened. It's summarised down, and we're trying to explain that to a practitioner who may not have ever had anything to do with either that person, that family, or that type of situation at all. And you want to share that learning with them. So it's a real challenge. And I feel it becomes diluted, potentially, and potentially less powerful. There's less strength in that, in understanding the nuances of those issues. And we're monitoring and we're looking at learning in the context of an overwhelmed, a context of organisations who are overwhelmed by the volume and complexity of their own workload. So we feel the amount of work and the ability to respond to statutory reviews, whilst our practitioners out there are feeling the weight of caseload work, of practitioner work. They are in a very, very, as we know, heightened sense of having to get a lot of stuff done in a very short time with very few resources. So we're trying to understand that learning, and we're trying to encourage our practitioners to work differently, or to know that there's been some, they need to make some changes, but in the context of their very busy workload and increased work capacity, decreased work capacity that they have. As well as that, we've got the context of all those extra familial situations. We talk about contextual safeguarding. We talk about the complexity of our life now in terms of contextual safeguarding. We talk about modern day slavery. We talk about the work of gangs. We talk about all of that in the context of safeguarding people. So it's broad and it's vast. So when we seek to embed learning and change practice to all of, we're seeking here to embed learning and to change practice to improve all of these parts. And I think we need to understand, and we might just need to modify how we try to take a different approach. And I know that today is an opportunity for all of you to think about how, in the context of those busy practitioner lives, that busy work, how we can do things differently, how can we work around things, maybe flip how we do things slightly. And I know that we've got some brilliant speakers here today that are going to help us understand more about how we think and how we behave as humans, but also as people and practitioners in the context of our work, to help us try and understand that. So my introduction is done. Setting the scene, setting the context of those statutory reviews is there for you to remember. And now it's about trying to think today, with the help of our speakers that we have here, how can you, in your roles, instrumental in creating and working through that learning, can it be different? Can you work differently? Can you look at things differently? And what that's like, really. So, yeah, thank you very much.